right, so for today's lesson, let's talk about caged. C-A-G-E-D. Caged is the system that we use for explore the fretboard of the guitar. So we will find more chords, more shapes. Otherwise, for example, you're gonna be playing that C major chord every time, and in reality, we have four more shapes for C major chords. Those are the shapes that we're gonna be talking about today. Okay, get ready. Caged starts with the letter C. So that means I will position my fingers here and get the C major chord. Right? So at this point, you should know that shape because we already have covered that. The second letter of caged is the letter A. So what that means? That means that we need to find a way to play the C major chord using the A major shape. Looks a bit confused, but you get there. So for example, this is my A major shape, A major chord, right? I always do that technique. So I replace these fingers, having the finger 1 out of the fretboard. So finger 2, finger 3, and finger 4 now will be part of the A major chord. As you can see, my finger 1 is out of the fretboard. The finger 1 I will use as a bar, so this chord will become a bar chord. What I do now is move those 3 fingers up to the fret 5. 3, 4, 5. When I do this, the next step is bar the fret 3. Right? This chord now is becoming a C major chord, but as you can easily see, the A major shape, it's in this chord, right? So I'm using the A major shape to build the C major chord. That's the purpose of caged. Let's analyze notes, the note by note, as you will learn on the lecture number 2, the triads. To build a chord, to play a chord, I need to have 3 different notes in that chord. They are the root, third, and the fifth. Okay, so the C shape, let's get that as an example. So you have C, I'm starting on the 5th string. The C note, the E note, the G note, another C note, and another E note. As you can see, C is the root, E is the third, C, D, E, third, major third in the situation. The minor chords will have minor thirds. We will practice that as well. And the fifth, which is G, C, D, E, F, G. Fifth, the fifth note. And then you have another C, another E. But as you can see, we only have 3 different notes in that chord, although I'm strumming 5 strings. When I move to the A shape that we just learned, I'm generating the same notes, but they are located in not in the same sequence as the first chord. As you can tell, the sequence, as you can see, the sequence is different. So I have C note, the G note, C note again, E note, and the G. Again, you only find 3 different notes in this chord: C, E, G, root, third, and the fifth. Okay, another way to practice this is when you're playing in a project or in a band and the other person's playing that C major chord, instead of playing the same chord as the other person's playing, you can move on and play the other C major chord, which will generate same notes, but in different order, right? For example, that G note, the other chord is not getting that. The highest note in this chord is the E note. And this chord will have the highest note as G, right? So that's the caged system. Let's move on to the next shape. So that's the E shape. My mission now is build the C major chord, find the C major chord using the E shape. How to do this? Firstly, you have to play the E major chord. Right? Okay, I found my E major chord. And then I have to replace these fingers and have the finger 1 out of the fretboard. Okay, done. Still the E major chord. Finger 1 is out of the fretboard. What I have to do now is move these fingers up to the fret 10. 10, 10, 9. When you do this, you have to bar the fret 8. My question now, why fret 8? Remember the frets memorization? When you go to the fret 8 on the top string, you find the note C. And the chord that we are playing is the C major chord. So here's the root note of that chord, C. Let's take a look on the notes that we have in this chord. You will probably see the same notes as we played before. C, E, and G, root, third, and fifth. Let's check it out. So C, top string, G, located in the A string, another C on the fourth string, E on the third string, G on the second string, and another C on the E, on the high E string. So someone is playing that C major chord in the on the song, and you are strumming that chord. You both are playing C major chord, but in different formation, different shapes. But the most important thing here, you are playing the same notes. And the last shape, very important shape for us, the D shape. Now we have to find the C major chord in the D shape. This shape you already know, that's the D major chord. We already done this chord on the last lesson. Same system. I replace my fingers like that. Finger 2, finger 3, and finger 4. And then I will have to move this chord up to the fret 12. Okay, it's missing the finger 1. Finger 1 will be playing the root note. But the root note now is located on the string 4. That's my C note, that's the root note. Remember how to find the notes on the 4th string? The octaves. So that's my root note now. So that means that I cannot strum the top string and the A string, which are E and A. So I will strum from the 4th string. Let's see the notes that we are finding in this chord. Let's see the sequence. So C, G, C again, and E. Same combination. We only have 3 different notes. C, E, G. That's the C major chord in the D shape. C major chord on the E shape. C major chord on the A shape. And C major chord on a C shape. There's something going on now because the word caged has 5 letters: C, A, G, E, and D. And we did, in this lesson, we are learning the shapes C, A, E, and D. So what is missing? It's missing the G shape. That's probably the hardest shape to play on the guitar because let's check it out. Let's take G as reference now. G major chord, G shape. That's the one. What do you have to do? Same thing. Replace the fingers and having the finger 1 out of the fretboard. So finger 3 down goes on the top, finger 2 on the A string, and pinky goes on the 1st string, 3rd fret. Still the G major chord, right? What I have to do now is move up this chord up to the fret. Which fret? Fret 8. That's the fret that is located where the root note is located. So C, root note. As you can see, the G major is still going on here. The G shape is not going to be G major anymore. It's going to be C major. And the finger 1, you have to bar the 5th fret. That's a very hard chord to play. Right? That's why we don't play this chord often, but it's good to know the theory behind this chord. So this chord is getting 3 different notes for sure. So let's check it out. C, E, G, C again, E, and C. But I think the main reason why I don't play as much this chord is because of the sound of this chord. The sound of this chord for me seems like this chord here, the E shape, right? So almost impossible to see the difference between these 2 chords if you are strumming, of course, right? So that's the G shape. So we did C major chord in 5 shapes using the caged system. Caged system also works for minor chords, right? Let's take the chord of A minor as reference. So A minor, that's the first shape that we learned on guitar, right? A minor chord. We did that on the last lesson. A minor chord. For me, the next A minor, I will have the E minor shape as reference. What that means, you play the E minor. You change these fingers, you replace these fingers for finger 3 and 4. Right? Still the A minor chord. And then I move these 2 fingers up to the fret 7. And then I bar the fret 5. I just found another A minor chord. Let's see the order of the notes and see if we are playing right. So that A minor chord will have A on the 5th string, E, A again, C, and E again. That's the root, minor 3rd, and the 5th. A, C, and E. Right? Always skip the next letter. You find the notes. So A, you skip the next letter, which is B, so you find C. You skip the next letter, which is D, and you find E. So A, C, E. We have to find those 3 notes here in that chord, A, C, E. Let's check it out and see if we are right. So A on the top string now, because the root is located on the top string. E A, C, E, and A. We have the three notes, A, C, E, here and there. One person is playing this minor chord, this A minor, in the song, and instead of playing that, you play the other A minor. Right, so this A minor is following the A shape, A minor shape, and this A minor is following the E minor shape. You have to be able to see the E minor here. Most of these chords you have to bar, so that's a good practice for bar chords. Another minor chord that is very useful, and I use that chord, I play this chord frequently, so is the A minor based on the D minor shape. That's the D minor shape. Right. Same technique we will apply here. Replace the fingers and have your finger one out of the fretboard. What we're gonna do now is move this chord up to the frets 9, 10, 8. Finger 3 on the fret 9, finger 4 on fret 10, finger 2 on fret 8. And finger 1 now will get the root note, which is located on the D string, fret 7. That's the A note. Next note is E, another A, and C. Again, you find A, C, E. Not in this order, doesn't need to be in that order every time. A, E, A, C. That's the A minor on the D minor shape. A minor on the E minor shape. A minor on the A minor shape. As you can see, the word caged has 5 letters, right? We already talked about this. C-A-G-E-D. It's missing 2 letters in that word. The letters B and F. That's my question for you now. Why it's missing those 2 letters? Why it's missing those 2 shapes, those 2 chords? Let's take the F as reference. So F major chord. Do we have a shape for F major chord, or we have to follow other chords, other shapes to get that chord? That's my question, right? Let's build the F major chord. Right, that's my F major chord made by the bar chord here. Finger 1 holding all the strings on the fret 1. Do you see any shape here in this chord? Inside this chord, do you see any chord? I can easily see the E major chord going on here in these 3 fingers. If I move these 3 fingers 1 fret down, E major. And here, still the E major shape, and I bar F major, right? So that's why we don't have a shape for F major chord. We have to follow the E shape. E shape, E major, replace the fingers, move 1 fret ahead, and bar first fret. If you keep moving this chord, you find other chords, for example, F sharp major, G major, G sharp, A major, A sharp major, B major, and what comes after B? Half step up, B, C, right? And so on. The other shape that I was talking about, it's B, right? We don't have the letter B on the word caged. So B, let's see what kind of chords, what kind of shape we will find, we'll see in that chord. So that's the my B major chord. What chord you can easily see here? I can easily see the A major shape. If I go here, my A major, replace the fingers, move these three fingers up to the fret 4, and then bar the fret 2. That's my B major chord, now played on the using the A shape. If I want to make the B minor chord, I follow the A minor shape. How? A minor, replace the fingers, still A minor, move the three fingers 2 frets ahead. So the frets now will be 4, 4, 3, and then you bar the second chord. The second fret, sorry. Why the second fret? The second fret is where the root note is located. The B note on the 5th string, not on the E string. The E string is F sharp. So the B note will be located on the 5th string. That's the B minor chord. If you keep moving around, you find another chord. For example, C minor chord, C sharp minor chord, D minor, D sharp minor, E minor. So that's the cage system in major and minor. The most useful chords, the chords that you see in songs. For the next lesson, I'm bringing 2 songs for us to analyze and to make that system, to make the cage explore different shapes in those 2 songs.